Hi folks, hope everybody's okay today. This is Jason Burns, and I'm here to talk to you about an up-and-coming Google Hangout tonight. So there's going to be a Google Hangout tonight, and the Google Hangout is going to be on the book by Bart Ehrman, Misquoting Jesus. What we're going to do is we're going to discuss the book, we're going to reflect on the book, and we're going to critique the book. And so it's only for those people who actually want to engage. Now you can get hold of the book if you want to read some of the extracts of the book. You can get it on PDF for free. Just type in Bart Ehrman Misquoting Jesus PDF, and you can get hold of the book if you want to look at it. So what we'll be doing at 10 o'clock tonight, English time, on this channel, we will be having a live Google Hangout chat on Bart Ehrman. It is not for atheist fundies who just want to come and make derogatory remarks and snigger and laugh. If you come with that kind of attitude, you'll be immediately kicked off the show. It's as simple as that. About 5 minutes into the show, as the show starts, I will link the show underneath the video or underneath this video, and you'll be able to get the link and come live and sit in on the live Google Hangout. That'll be at 10 p.m. tonight, English time. 10 p.m. English time tonight. We'll be discussing Bart Ehrman's Misquoting Jesus. As I said, we don't want atheist fundies to be coming, spoiling the discussion with mocking and snide remarks. If you want to come and engage in a fair, honest way and explore this topic and think about this topic, then please feel free to come. The show will be for 2 hours from 10 till 12, and it will be on this topic. We're not going to be talking about any other topic, so if anybody tries to change the topic, then I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. And everybody's welcome except the groups that I've blacklisted. There are certain groups that have been blacklisted. Left Coast Atheist have been blacklisted. All Fundamentally Flawed Crew are blacklisted. Lenator blacklisted. Captain Awesome's crew blacklisted. And Making Explicit blacklisted. These are all blacklisted. They're not. I don't want them near me. I don't want them near the show. If they come near the show, as I said, it will be seen as stalking. So you to stay away. And anybody who comments regularly under these people's videos, you to stay away from coming on the Google Hangout and from even commentating under the video, or I'll see it as stalking. Apart from that, anybody else is willing. Another person who is banned, well, as far as I'm concerned, 2 people banned, that's Matthew Bell and Sean. You're banned from the show because I did go on a show of yours a few weeks ago, and what I heard in private, the discussion, sickened me. And until you contact me and tell me what was going on when you was talking about someone of a different race, specifically you, Matthew, till you give me a reassurance that you're not going to do that again, I really don't want you on the show. Apart from that, anybody who wants to come on and have a discussion and a debate, please feel free to come on and share your thoughts and share what you think about Bart Ehrman. I give an open invitation to Matt Delolante. I give an open invitation to Thunderfoot. I give an open invitation to any of the main atheists out there who want to actually engage. If you feel you can engage, you've got an open invitation to come tonight. And we give an open invitation to any of the atheist scholars out there, Richard Carrier, the agnostic Dr. Price. You want to come on and have a discussion with us, feel free. Yeah, so there's an open invitation to the Magic Sandwich Show if any of them want to come on. You're welcome to come on. But we stick to the topic. We're not going to be talking about me. We're not going to be talking about controversial issues about all the stuff that some of these atheists have been throwing silly accusations out. We're going to be talking about a scholarly topic, and you've got an opportunity today to read an article or two, or to dip into the book a little bit, and then come on the show tonight and have a discussion. That's at 10 p.m. tonight, English time, and everybody else is welcome. Like I said, an open invitation to some of the main atheists out there, if you want to come on. An open invitation to those who are not so famous. You're all welcome, apart from the ones that are blacklisted. Yeah. The others who are blacklisted as well is the New Covenant group. You're blacklisted because of the bullying that you did to me at Christmas. Christopher Mort is allowed to come on if he wants to try and build bridges on behalf of the New Covenant group. And hopefully in a year's time we can build more bridges and breach the division that we have at the moment. So I'm allowing him to come on if he wants to come on and discuss the topic. So it's up to the atheist community. If you want to engage in an academic discussion on this topic, then the opportunity is there for you. You want to behave like atheist funders, fanatical atheist do-gooders, fanatical fundamentalist atheists who haven't got two brains to rub together. That's the way you want to behave, then you'll just be kicked off the show. But if you want to engage and behave as civilized people who want a rational discussion and want to dialogue, and I use that as an operative word, that is to say that we are willing to listen to each other, then you're welcome to come on. Now, before I finish here, I just want to go. I made a video on the ethics of Peter Singer deconstructed. In that video, and I made a funny video the next day, which I thought was hilarious myself. But if you want an absolute laugh, go and see the video, the Peter Singer songs and the fall of Western philosophy. Is absolutely hilarious. And then listen to my diatribe on Western philosophy. It's absolutely, you fall over screaming with laughter. I know I was when I watched it. But if you want the more serious academic critique of Peter Singer, look at the video, The Ethics of Peter Singer Deconstructed, because a lot of thought went into that critique, and it was quite precise. So we have Gary Edwards here, an atheist. He's commentating under the video. So we'll just go through some of the comments that some of these atheists have given. Gary Edwards is a pretty heavy hitter on the atheist community on YouTube. Sees himself as a serious thinker. So here it goes. Here's the quote. There is nothing in nature that gives us any kind of understanding value as JB. Despite the is or gap and the open question argument, there are academic philosophers who, as meta-ethical naturalists, argue that the assertion is false. What is your scholarly and reasoned response to their arguments. Well, first of all, Gary Edwards, the philosophical community is a big philosophical community, so you need to tell us which particular philosopher. If I was debating in pragmatism, there are a variety of different philosophers in pragmatism, and they all have their different nuances. So you need to be a bit more specific. And this, obviously, you don't know the topic because you've not given us anything specific. But you've said it there, my friend. Despite the is-ought gap and the open question argument, there are academic philosophers whose, as metaethical naturalists, argue that the assertion is false. Let's just presume that they can bridge the is-ought gap, which I don't think is possible. But let's just take for argument that they can, Gary Edwards. That still doesn't get you any objective morality, because whatever that objective morality you try to present, it will always be subjective. For example, if you can bridge the is-ought gap, the only way, well, there's only 2 or 3 ways that you could develop some kind of morality that is objective. One is the idea that morality is about not causing harm to people or causing harm. But that is not an objective morality, because who gets to define what is harm? You might say it can be scientifically verified. We assess someone's pain level that is causing harm, and so we can objectively differentiate of what is harm. But again, that begs the question, because somebody else, that's my mobile phone, because somebody else might see what is harmful, might see it as good. So how do you differentiate between this issue of harm in an objective way? It can't be done. Then you might move into maybe morality is objective in terms of I think it's Kelly Sheegan or Sagan, where he pontificates that we can have a social contract, and that social contract is the basis of what morality is. But again, one social contract is another man's or woman's dinner, and another one isn't the dinner. In other words, one society can have one kind of social contract, but who's to say that is objectively true, because another society may have a social contract completely different. So using the harm motif, you don't get objectivity. Using the social contract motif, you don't get objectivity. So you could go for utilitarian ethics, where you say the greatest number or the greatest number that has happiness or pleasure is the way to morality. But then again, just because the greatest number have the morality that they do and it causes them happiness, does not necessarily mean that is objective, because there might be a minority who are not as happy but have the right morality. So the greatest number motif doesn't work. You could go for pragmatism, but pragmatism is not objective, because every pragmatism that has ever been has always been according to the particular personal, political, social, or philosophical bent of that particular group. So, for example, you have the pragmatism of William James, and his pragmatism was about trying to empower different religions. You have the pragmatism of a John Dewey, and his pragmatism was about empowering democratic process. So, Gary, it's all about the subjective political or philosophical or social context that the pragmatist is operating in, and it doesn't bring objective morality. I think that's enough for now. The point is, even if you was to be able to bridge the is-ought gap, you don't get anywhere near any objective morality. If you say that morality is subjective, then all I can say is If that's what you believe, you're entitled to do that. But I don't think the academic community generally accepts that philosophically these days. I think most are moving towards trying to develop some kind of objective morality. So over to you, Gary Edwards. You've not put anything down whatsoever. At least I've had a stab at the topic. You've just put absolutely nothing, showing the vacuous empty-headedness of your position, because you have said one thing that is worth noting. Now let's go on to the next person. So let's go on to the next. I would have more respect for you, Gary Edwards, if you actually put something down. This is the thing about these atheists. They will not. It's very difficult to pin an atheist down. When you're debating an atheist, they'll go, "Oh, you're strawmanning me because that's not my type of atheism." Well, what is your type of atheism? Well, atheism is just an absence of belief in God due to a lack of evidence. Is it? Is it really? Yeah. Oh, well, let's look at this argument. Oh, that's not my type of atheism. Well, let's look at this argument. Oh, that's not my type of atheism. And they're always moving the goalposts. Very hard to pin an atheist down. Anyhow, let's go. Anyhow, Gary Edwards, I would have more respect for you if you actually put some argument down. You've not put any argument whatsoever. It's vacuous, it's empty-headed, and it shows that you're an absolute cowardly custard. Because if you had any bottle whatsoever, you would have actually put something that I could have critiqued. I can't even critique that statement because it's so vague and nebulous. That's typical atheism for you. Anyhow, Zarkov45 looks interesting. This looks really interesting. Let's hear what he has to say. This looks interesting. There certainly is something in my nature that makes me value comfort, happiness, beauty, sexuality, and health. Since I value those things, I must also value those things which give me more of them: knowledge, science, peace, and stable society. The word value there, Zarkov45, the way you're using it is an equivocation. You're using it for one thing but meaning another. And so you need to redefine what you mean by value and keep it in its particular context so that we understand the purpose of that word in that context. The word value that you're using here in terms of knowledge, in terms of health and sexuality, is not the kind of value that I was mentioning in my academic piece of work on Peter Singer. So equivocation, you need to be more refined and clear as to what you're saying. So night jar flying, this guy says, start using tags correctly and stop deleting, disabling comments and likes. By disabling comments, and you also disable Google links. It's tags, links, views, likes, which determine how your video is graded by the YouTube ranking algorithm. At the moment, the archive copies of your videos on other channels often rank higher than your original video tags. You only have 6 key words in your hidden tags. Peter Singer, Deconstructed, Jason Burns. Add more to improve people's searches. Example tags: Christianity, Jesus Good, Atheist, Peter May, Zoosexual, Ethics, etc. Okay, I want to just say this. Basically, I have not allowed people to comment on my videos because of the malicious cyberbullying that has gone on over the years. So basically, I get very discouraged and dispirited and don't put many tags on because I just feel that at the end of the day, the vast majority of atheists out there just want to cyberbully me. Okay? So when the atheist community actually engage with me in an academic discourse, then I'll feel a bit more encouraged and confident to put more tags on. And at the end of the day, these these channels, archive channels, one of them was has been involved in cyberbullying, and it's my specific request that they don't have copyright on any of my videos, and I do not give these channels the right to use them, because one of them has specifically been involved in cyberbullying me, and I would ask the atheist community to take them down, but you won't. and that will not allow me to move on and to go forward. So you can say what you want as an atheist community, but your hypocrisy stinks to high heaven. You are very uncaring. You're very, very uncaring. You're very unloving community, and you're degrading. And the hypocrisy is that you banged on and on and on about Jason being mentally ill, and then you go and put not 10 videos of his, but you go and put 4,000 videos of his. That's how many videos you've got as an atheist community of mine. 4,000 videos of a guy you've all said is mentally ill, and yet you go and keep and use 4,000 of his videos. That is the stinking, pathetic, disgusting, evil, mean, vicious atheist community for you. Hypocritical. Spend hours and hours and hours talking about his mental illness, and yet they collect not 50 but 4,000 of his videos. Thank you, Night Flying, for reminding us of the disgusting way your community behaves. If you were a loving community and you really thought I was mentally ill, you would not do that. You wouldn't even put those videos up. You would leave them alone and you just let me get on my merry way. But no, 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 because you are so much a flipping atheist fundies that have got to win the creation. You've got to flipping take control of someone's public profile and try and bury them and destroy them to the very foundations and ground. And you just admitted, you have tacitly admitted on behalf of the atheist community that you have done that. You said that the YouTube channels that they ran, and you're an atheist, that they run, get more views and more traffic than me. And they are my videos. And that is because the atheist community took control of my public profile. That's how despicable and anti-democratic and how much they cyberbully Christian apologists. I rest my case, Night Flying. Thank you for that comment. Unexhead 10. Some friendly advice for you, Jason. If you don't want anything to do with atheists and you want them to leave you alone, then stop making videos on your code Atheist Examine. No, I'll make the videos because I believe in democracy, you hothead idiot. Alright? I believe in democracy, and if you don't like democracy, tough. I will make videos when I want and how I want because I believe in democracy. I haven't stopped one atheist on their channels from making videos, and I'll not stop them. And so I encourage you to support democracy, my friend. Not support a bunch of idiots who want to go around cyberbullying a Christian apologist off YouTube. Alright? Now this looks interesting. Now this looks a lot better. Truches Borome. Truches Borome. Now this looks a little bit interesting. This guy. Oh! We got Rob Tabo. We got Rob Tabo. We'll go to Truches Borome in a minute. But we got the old Rob Tabo. He says, since the man isn't on death row, I think your implied paraphrasing of the ethics of Peter Singer, decamp professor of bioethics at Princeton University and laureate professor at the Center for Applied Philosophy and Public Ethics at University of Melbourne, as animals are equal and whatever dude may have some misrepresentations involved. Would that be accurate? Oh, Robbo Tabo, eh? This is the great Rob Tabo, the great arguer and debater. Gives us his arguments. Well, Rob Tabo, what was your argument again? You didn't give one. You didn't give one. You didn't give one, did you? Because you are someone Who can't? All right? Rob Tabo? Thought that was clever, did you? Well, it wasn't clever. You haven't given an argument. So sayonara, mate. Waste of space. Right, let's get on to Truchess Boromir. This guy looks more interesting. Oh, so your objection is that he doesn't deal with true Christianity. I hate to break it to you, Jason, but your specific little view on what Christianity is only a small representation of your religion. And I can show you a huge number of people who will tell that you are not a real Christian. Ad hominem attack, Truchess Boromir. Ad hominem attack, you dodo. I'm sorry, but just because you claim that everybody who calls himself a Christian but disagrees with you is not a true Christian doesn't suddenly make it invalid to address Christianity by addressing some other denomination. It is not a straw man. It is not his fault that you guys can't agree on anything, even though you pretend to all speak for the same God. Truchess Boromir, you are outgunned and outclassed. You do not know what you are talking about, my friend. You are idiotic in your opinions. You are not scholarly in your opinions, my friend. You do not know what you are talking about. My video was on about his historical Jesus studies. And on his historical Jesus studies, he is absolutely clueless, my friend. Absolutely clueless. Checkmate. You've just been had your ass handed to you. Okay? But let's go on. He's written a bit more. So what? He rejects Christianity because he doesn't believe in your stories. I'm afraid you can only reject something if you really understand it. And if he doesn't understand it, he hasn't rejected it properly, okay? Acknowledging then, here he goes, that a person in your stories has had some good ideas is not a contradiction. How does he contradict himself when he says that he doesn't accept Christianity but thinks that Jesus had a good moral basis? You don't know what a contradiction is, do you? Well, here it is. Here it is. Mr. Fundy Atheist, here's the contradiction. Are you ready? We don't need Christianity because Christianity is no good. It's immoral. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create our own morality, which, by the way, is immoral, but we won't say that. We'll create our own morality because we don't need Christianity. Then I realise that actually Jesus' morality is better than my morality. Now that was a contradiction, all right? Truchess Boromir, it was a contradiction. Okay, right, let's go on. Actually, Jason, if a child could make the determination about sexual acts, it would be okay and not harmful to engage in sexual acts with it. Oh! Oh, dear me, I don't believe this. Is this an 8? Listen, folks. Oh, dear me. Is this for real? I'm sorry, I know I'm being a bit hard on these atheists today, and I mean I'm really taking them apart. And I will be gentle and loving and kind. I'll calm down. I'll be gentle and loving and kind and sweet. Okay. I was really giving it you some, but I'm going to calm down. I'm going to be gentle and kind. Let's just hear what this atheist has to say about Peter Singers and me. Actually, in quotes, this is so you don't think I'm actually strawmanning this guy. I don't want you to think that I'm strawmanning this guy, all right? But this is from an atheist. So let's have a look at what he's saying. Here it is. All right, I told you I would engage with you, and I'm engaging with you, okay? This is this guy. I don't know what it is. Truchess Boromir or whatever. And so here it is. Here's the comment here. Can we get it a bit bigger? Let's just get it a bit bigger. So we got it a bit bigger. Can we read it there? Flashing a bit there. Anyhow. Yeah? Okay. This is the great mind of atheism for you folks. Actually, this is the atheist. Kid you not, this is the atheist. Actually, yes, Jason, if a child could make the determination about sexual acts, it would be okay and not harmful to engage in sexual acts with it. The problem is that a child can't possibly make that call yet. It's too young to understand what this actually means, and therefore it needs to be protected from the danger that adults exploit this lack of understanding the chance. Otherwise, an adult could abuse the power he or she has over a child. That's why we do not allow sexual acts with children. Again, in your simple mind, I'm sure that the only argument need is God doesn't want us to, even though your Bible clearly disagrees with you. But in the worlds of the grown-ups, we actually need arguments to explain why we would or should do something. Okay. So let's look at this conglomerate of nonsense this atheist has spouted. Actually, yes, Jason, if a child can make the determination about sexual acts, it will be okay and not harmful to engage in sexual acts with it. Now, the point is, Brainy Box atheist, the Peter Singers is saying that animals should be allowed to have sex with human beings, because if it's perceived that the animal wants it, and if the animal is not harmed in any way, then it's okay. That is the criterion of Peter Singer. So from that criteria, okay, from that criteria, it would be okay if it was a child as well. From his criteria. So your argument fails completely. And actually, unwittingly, you're admitting that Peter Singer is correct. Because you're saying if a child can make the determination about sexual acts. But Peter Singer is not even saying that. He's saying so long as they want to and if it doesn't harm them. Not necessarily determination, i.e. able to assess the situation, but that the child might want to and that the child is not harmed, then according to Peter Singer's criteria, then it would be okay. But he doesn't talk about it because he knows that his own philosophy for animals and bestiality, if it was applied to children, it would make him look really bad. So actually, you unwittingly are falling into the hands of a Peter Singer, okay? So then you say the problem is that a child can't possibly make that call yet. Again, you're not fully understanding Peter Singer's philosophy. So you need to go back and you need to do some reading. It's too young to understand what this actually means. Not according to Peter Singer. It doesn't talk about young animals and old animals and all the rest of it, and therefore it needs to be protected from the danger that adults exploit this lack of understanding the child. Therefore, it needs to be protected from the danger that adults exploit this lack of understanding the child has. You want an argument? Basically, you're using Christianity there to defend the child. If you were actually consistent with your own worldview, where do you get objective morality from? I'd be very interested to hear what you have to say about that. What you actually have to borrow from Christianity to make that kind of statement. That's why we do not allow, he says, sexual acts with children. Again, in your simple mind, I'm sure the only argument you need is God doesn't want us to, even though your Bible clearly disagrees with you. First of all, when you say a simple argument, every argument has to have a foundation to stand on. If it's going to be reason, how do you give a justification for reason? You can't. You have to assume it. There's always got to be a starting point that you have to start from. So it's not a simple argument. It's called first principles. Alright? Oh, Luke, you actually sort of make my point here. Well done. So you do understand that adults have a responsibility in regard to children, and that this is the reason why we do not allow sexual acts with children. Yeah, from the Christian point of view, but how do you justify it from an atheist point of view? You can't. Okay? Complete non sequitur. How does a simply material universe prevent us from having values or value things? You've made this argument a lot so far, but you never explain it, never justify that weird jump. Simple. Where within nature or anywhere in the universe does it give you an objective statement that humans are valuable? Now over to you, clever clocks. Right, we've had enough of the guy. We've engaged with him. Remember this, Jason. Every time you upload a video, YouTube, someone in the world at a very moment is realizing they are an atheist. It is not casual, but it is joy to contemplate. Blue as bluest. Just remember, every time I upload a video, everyone sees your cyberbullying, atheist funding methodologies, lack of arguments. And I've been quite strong with the atheists today, and I need to be a bit more gentle, so forgive me, and I do need to be more gentle. Sorry, atheists, but you annoy me when you talk about you want evidence, and you talk about you want rational discussion. I give you a top academic video, and all I get is stupidity wrapped in stupidity. Worse bite. Jason, you were doing so well. You actually made some points of your own. Then you had to attack the atheist again. You bad boy. You, yeah, it's called democracy. I mean, I'm not like Cult of Dusty. I mean, the guy's flipping insane. I'm not like him, smacking Christianity the way he does. I'm not like Atheist Experience, the way he smacks Christianity. But oh, when Jason Burns makes a video, naughty Jason Burns. Why? Could it be because you can't take criticism as atheist? Could it be you as atheist who talk about democracy and want democracy? You don't want democracy. You want to silence those voices like the Oxford Council. Did you hear recently what happened with the Oxford Council? That's perhaps why I'm a bit strong today and into you atheists today, because of what happened at Oxford Council. Do you know what happened? A church wants to do a passion play and just walk with the cross, and they've done it for years with pretend Roman soldiers and a cross and Jesus carrying it, and the council said no, they can't do it because it's a sex show. It's not even a sex show, it is a passion play that's been done for hundreds of years, and the council have said no. That's not democracy. That's discrimination. You've got gay rights in Manchester and all over the UK having their marches and having their festivals, and yet the Christians want to do a passion play and walk through the cross through the city centre, and they can't do it. That's your democracy for you. So I'm asking for intellectual arguments, and I'm not getting nothing under this video, and I don't think that you believe in democracy as atheist, and it sickens me to death. You do not believe in democracy. Mark Hale, may I ask, why should an academic debate with you simply because you demand it? No, simply because I am one of the leading European intellectuals. That's why, okay? Hugh Jarvis, by declaring that Singer doesn't understand Christianity because he assumes that this religious idea of salvation comes about via works and grace, is because he has read the entire New Testament. The James Paul conflict, read James. You see then how that by works is one, this is Hugh Jarvis, is one of the great contentions within biblical scholarship. You profess to be so familiar with it, so I am surprised to hear an academic of your standing say things like true Christianity is about grace. This really is a foundational error. No, it's not. Actually, if you look at ancient Jewish thinking and the way they actually taught in a parallel fashion. You didn't know that, did you? Parallel fashion. Do you know what parallel fashion is? They would put the positive and the negative of a particular topic. Oh, got that wrong, didn't you, you jazz? Eh? And so whenever the ancient Jews taught something, they would give the negative and the positive of the situation. Yeah, it was called parallel teaching. And so when Paul teaches grace, the Jews are also going to give works. That's the way it worked, you jazz, if you looked at the way ancients taught things in the Jewish perspective. So you made a foundational error of not understanding first century Judaism, especially the ancient rabbinical writings. Get that one sorted, lad. Mark Hale seems interesting. You say we have value because of our relationship with God. Why? Through that process, through what process do you make ethical decisions? I would be particularly interested in the method of making ethical decisions that is not available to a non-believer. Do Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists have sound basis for ethical system? If yes, why not? If not, why not? Does God make ethical decisions? What basis does his decisions have? Okay, this is interesting, and it seems to me much more of an honest reflection, and I appreciate that, whoever you are. Mark Hale, you say we have value because of our relationship with God. Why? Why? Because of the nature of God. The nature of God is Trinity, Mark. God is Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and they are one. And in that Holy Spirit, Father and Son, there is a relationship. And so we are made in the image of God to have relationship with God and with each other. That is the foundation of value. The value is that we are made for relationship. Okay? A relationship with God and relationship with each other. Through what process do you make ethical decisions? I would particularly be interested in the method of making ethical decisions that is not available to a non-believer. The ethical decisions the process to make ethical decision is available to the non-believer and the believer, and that process is the innate conscience of every human being that knows instinctively what the golden rule is. That's why you can look at different cultures such as Greek culture with Solon, with Chinese culture and Confucius, and with first century Jewish culture and Egyptian culture, etc. And you can find the golden rule within those cultures, which backs up the Christian perspective that we're made in the image of God and we have an instinct of what is right and wrong. Okay? Where it doesn't back up your perspective if you believe in evolution, which says that morality is developed over time, over millions of years. But actually, all human beings have had an instinctive understanding of the golden rule. So you actually have that available to you. It's just a case of you suppress it and do not see that this is from God and helps you to point to Him. Okay, so I think I've answered your question. Squeaker Alpha, sorry Jason, but Ultron is observable and can be experimented with. If you look at it, well, I'm sorry Squeaky Alpha, but first of all, I appreciate your comment. You see, I'm getting calmer now. I'm calmer because the comments are a lot better. The comments are more engaging and more respectful and more understanding, so I'm much calmer. Squeaker Alpha says, sorry Jason, but altruism is observable and can be experimented with. It is part of being a social mammal, not unlike your nipples. I like the comments at the end. My nipples are very, very big. Thank you, Squeaker Alpha. This issue of altruism, I make it clear in my video that those who are writing on the topic, these various social scientists and political think tank people, when they're using this kind of evolutionary social ethics, basically it's influenced by their own political standpoint. So you'll tend to find that the left will use this kind of material to suit their own perspective, and the scholars and the scientists that develop the scholarly research actually reflects and mirrors the political situation that they want to support. So quite often a lot of it can be right wing and often it can be left wing. So I'm sorry, that's why philosophers don't take it seriously, this evolutionary stuff, okay? Squeaky Alpha. Oh, a little bit about my nipples. It's part of being social mammal, not unlike your nipples. My nipples are perhaps one of the biggest nipples in Europe at the present time. They are the size of cigarette ends. If anyone could provide evidence that there are bigger nipples than mine, I would be interested to hear from that. Just to the side. Squeaky Alpha. Jason, what was the age at which children became adults and able to marry in biblical times among the Jews? Hint, bar and bat mitzvah are at what, 13 or 14? Why doesn't English society allow 14-year-olds to marry now? What does that difference make to standard of absolute morality? That's a very good point, and it's a very difficult question to answer, Squeaky Alpha. So I appreciate your very incisive question, and it is a very incisive question. Actually, if you look at the history of European and American marriages, the history of marriage and the age of marriage, even in Europe, there were marriages going on as young as 9 and even younger than that. And even in America, in the 17th and 18th century, there were marriages that were younger than 12, even younger than that. So some of it, as to the issue of marriage and sexuality, is social convention. So you've got a good point there, and that is a very, very good point. And I take my hat off to you that you've got me cornered, Squeaker Alpha. You have me cornered here, and I need to do some thinking on that one. So that's a very, very good point. Okay. Let me just think about it. Um, I'm just thinking, just for a second. It's just a very, very good point that, and it's very pertinent to the video that I made against Peter Singer, and it's a very incisive point that Squeaker Alpha has made. So I'm just going to think about that for a minute. Let's just go on to his next question. Animal or comment. Squeaker Alpha. Animals. I think he's actually written quite a little bit here. Animals and children are quite different. A dog, for example, is sexually mature at about 1 year, so it might be okay if the animal could give its informed consent. Notice the big if. We have values because a thing is worth something to the person considering it. A man's wife has more value to him than she does to someone else. You have more value to your mother than you do to me. Utter crap. You can demonstrate that caring for a sick member of your group has advanced to the group. In simple terms, that sick member survives and is one again a useful member rather than the lost and die. Why should you try to engage this time you never have before? Well, I'm engaging now, Squeaker Alpha. Right, let's just get back to this thingamy just for a minute. Jason, what was the age at which children became adults? I've answered that. And able to marry in biblical times among the Jews. Well, I answered it general Western culture. Amongst the Jews, yeah. Hint, bar and bat mitzvah are what, 13 and 14. Why doesn't English society allow 14-year-olds to marry now? What does that difference make to a standard of absolute morality? I think in a biblical perspective, you, you are only morally culpable if you are morally able to make the decision. And therefore, if a society or culture this is just my thinking, decides to have children younger than 9, say, which some Western cultures did do, by the way, in the Middle Ages, not only in the Middle Ages, but in the 14th, 15th, 16th century, then that is going against our rational thinking, and it's going against our understanding of moral responsibility. So even though there is a social convention in the issue of marriage and children that's gone on in Western culture, that social convention can be judged whether it was rational and whether it was morally responsible in the criteria of what moral responsibility is, i.e., you're not morally responsible unless you're equipped and able to make that decision. So a child of 9 is not equipped to make the decision to get married. And so it would be not responsible of a culture to encourage such a young age, even though it might be social convention. So that's my thinking. But the argument with Peter Singer's, and this is where you've missed, this is where your incisive question begins to break down in the next parts that you've made. You say animal and children are quite different. A dog, for example, is sexually mature at about 1 year. Peter Singer's is not giving the issue of differentiation in the ability to make the decision, as far as I'm aware. Peter Singer's is making the argument about equality. That's the key, I think, to Peter Singer's philosophy. The issue is about equality. The issue is not about maturity, principally. It's about equality. The fact is, the dog is equal with a human being. A dog has equal rights as a human being. So if the dog wants to have sex with a human being, seeing that the dog has equal rights with the human being, then why shouldn't the dog have those rights? That is the kind of philosophy that I understand Peter Singer is producing. The issue about the difference between a child and an animal are quite different is quite wrong from Peter Singer's point of view. Peter Singer is saying that animals have the same rights as humans. Animals have the same rights as children. That's the point. So I think that issue of animals have the same rights as humans is devastating to human ethics. Ends up making human beings involved in bestiality, basically. And therefore, it does have an impact on how we view children. If human beings are the same as animals, then it does have an impact on how we understand children and their sexuality. And it has a massive impact. And you can't then try and protect children and say, oh, children are not responsible and we have to protect them. Because if you're accepting Peter Singer's philosophy, that is not consistent with the issue of equality between animals and human beings. He says we have, anyhow, Squeaker Alpha says we have value because a thing is worth something to the person considering it. A man's wife has more value to him than she does to someone else. You have more value to your mother than you do to me. There is a sense of relative value in the sense of context, that each human being and each situation, the individual will have some kind of connect with that context. So like you said, if I have them, the value of my wife will be more than the value of my neighbours down next door. Yeah, that's correct. But there is not only a relative value or contextual value, there is also universal value. That universal value is not something that you can get purely from Peter Singer's philosophy. Because even though he might say animals and human beings are equal, then you can't talk about value, whether it be contextual or whether it be universal, from nature. Because that would imply some kind of objective morality. And you can't get that from anywhere in nature. And that's the point. So, why should you try to engage this time you never have done before? Well, I have done. I've engaged with you. Now it's up to you to engage with me. It's up to argue with me. I've been very strong with you in this video because I'm pretty angry today in the Daily Mail reading that Christians have been stopped from doing a passion narrative in some town council in Oxford or near Oxford. Pretty angry about that. And it riles me and it infuriates me that you atheists bang on about democracy. And you don't believe in democracy whatsoever. You've taken away my democratic right as atheist community from representing myself. I cannot represent myself openly and fairly on YouTube without fear and intimidation from some sections of the atheist community. And it infuriates me that the hypocrisy that your people have, that you are a hypocritical people. You know, Dan Barker, with his whatever Freedom Foundation or whatever, will tell Christians and take Christians to court for having Bible text in the park on a war memorial or something like that, and or a bench, and there might be a Bible text on the bench, and Dan Barker's group will take them to court because they'll say it's a public place and we shouldn't have religion in public place. We shouldn't be sponsoring a specific religion. And then they will then go and have a plaque in a park put celebrating atheism. And to me, that's rank hypocrisy. It's absolute rank hypocrisy. And you stink as atheists. You stink with your hypocrisy. You're hypocrites. You don't believe you don't believe in democracy. You don't believe in freedom of speech. You don't. You want it all to yourselves. You want to control public space. You want to control public discourse. You want to control everything and keep Christianity out because of your bias, Christophobia. And that's the way it is. I'm absolutely 100% convinced that the modern atheism is a sinister, vicious political movement. It is not a nice, it's not the nice armchair atheism that the Bertrand Russells of this world used to spout, where they would sit at Cambridge smoking a pipe and talking with C.S. Lewis, and then after the debate they'd go to the local pub and have a pint together. This is not the kind of atheism that is around today. The atheism around today is a vicious, sinister, nasty atheism that desires to destroy Christianity, absolutely pulverize it to the ground, and will stop at nothing to do that. We're seeing it in Oxford where they're stopping the Passion Play. We see it with Dan Barker's group. We're seeing it with me, the way they've treated me. You don't believe in academic debate and discussion. You're a very dangerous, sinister movement. And I absolutely deplore the atheist movement at the present time. I absolutely think it's absolutely disgusting the way you're behaving and what you're doing. I think it's an absolute disgrace. You're getting away with absolute murder, and you're like the communists of old. You're a vicious, nasty group of people. You're absolutely vicious, and you're absolutely hell-bent on destroying the Christian faith in our Western culture. And it stinks to high heaven, the hypocrisy that you spouted. Only the other week, when I was watching a debate between Krauss and William Lane Craig I was absolutely disgusted at what was being spouted against William Lane Craig. When Krauss ripped into him and attacked his character, it was absolutely disgusting. It was not an academic debate. It was a massacre, a personal character assassination on William Lane Craig. And if I'd debated Krauss, if he'd have done that to me, I'd have just walked off the stage and turned my back on him, because he's an absolute disgrace, that man. He's an absolute disgrace, and he's brought atheism into disrepute with his hate speech against William Lane Craig. Absolutely disgusting. No, I'm sorry, I've no time for the atheism online. I've no time for it. I've seen the witch hunt that you did to Anthony Flew. I saw those witch hunts. I followed those witch hunts intimately when he declared that he was a deist, and I saw what you atheist fundies did to him. I saw how you dealt with him, and the way you dealt with him was an absolute disgrace. And I saw when Bart Ehrman wrote his book on the historical Jesus, I saw the way you as atheist fundies out there dealt with him. It was absolutely disgusting. You atheist fundies out there are a fanatical bunch of idiots. You are anti-intellectual and you are anti-democratic. You are anti-intellectual and you are anti-democratic. And you have taken over YouTube, your own little pet games, your own little pet bullying, cyberbullying movements. And I'll always be standing against that. I'll always stand against it. So prove me wrong. Show me that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Show me that it's not all, atheism isn't all these atheist fundies who try and take away people's right to free speech. You show me the best of atheism. You show me that you're willing to engage in discourse, academic discussion and debate tonight. You come to Bart Ehrman Misquoting Jesus tonight and come and have an actual friendly, honest, fair discussion. And let's leave with a handshake. Let's leave on good terms. I know I've been hard and mick-taking today, and I've hit you hard, and I know that. But that's because it hurts me when I hear that Christians can't do passion plays in their own country, and yet we can have gay pride marches and no one blinks an eye. But when Christians want to do a passion play, no, you can't do that. But you'll all have a gay pride march for your city, but you won't let Christians do their passion plays. To me, that's discrimination. And I'm not buying into that this is a lovely democratic world that we live in, because it isn't. But maybe there are some atheists out there who are actually cultured and educated, who are actually friendly and warm, and who actually want to engage. And if you are those kind of atheists, I would love to see you tonight. I would absolutely love to see you, and I would love to engage with you. I would love to discuss with you. I'd love to learn from you. Maybe you've read other things. I'd love to learn from you and discuss with you. And some of the atheists have made some good points under this video of Peter Singer. One or two made some really good points. I don't think I've adequately answered some of the things, but I have tried to engage just a little bit with you, and I hope in the coming days and weeks ahead that you will come down on this channel and that we can have some really profitable discussions and debates, and I hope it'll be a time of reflection for you and for me and for those who come. But anybody who comes as an atheist fundy with this kind of aggressive militant atheism, you'll just be kicked off the show within a minute. So unless you come with a different attitude, an attitude to engage and to respect and to discuss, then you need to stay, because this channel is not for you. It's only for those who want to build bridges between atheists and Christians and have serious discussion. If that is you, then you may come on this show tonight. So we'll be here. I'll be here at 10 o'clock tonight, English time, and we'll have an hour to maybe 2 hours discussion on misquoting Jesus. Thank you for listening, and God bless you all. Well, let's see what the atheists have said. See what it said. So I'm looking at the comments here, and okay, so there's a few atheists on there, and made a few comments. So thanks for those comments, and there we are. So at the end of the show, I have engaged to some extent. I will be doing the show tonight at 10 p.m. English time. If you want to come on and discuss. Thank you so much that you have made some comments. I know I've been very hard with you today, very hard hitting and mocking, and I apologize for that, but it's just because I was very upset to read today in the Daily Mail about a Christian group not allowed to do a passion play, and it really annoys me that you've taken away my own public profile and control that now, and nobody says anything. And also I find it profoundly irritating. So I'll see you tonight, and I hope you come tonight. So may God bless you, and may you have a lovely day.